What's up YouTube, Dougie Chong here. Welcome to today's episode where I'll be reviewing Square stock. Before I start the video, I just want to say a big thank you to all my new subscribers from my most recent Air Canada stock video. It's done really well as of lately, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and like this video if it helps you at all. I'm also going to rebrand to be just Dougie Finance. I think that's a lot easier to remember and a lot easier to say. Alright, so what exactly is Square stock? Do they sell square tables or square origami paper? The answer to both of those questions is no. Square is a financial services and payments processing company. They were founded in the year 2009 by the founder and CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. Twitter, of course, is a very popular social media platform and is used by many celebrities, including the President of the United States, Donald Trump. I believe the name of their company, Square, derives from their first product of a Square credit and debit card reader. I did a little more research and found that yes, the company did start with these little square devices that would attach to your audio headphone jack, and then they created a stand for your iPad to effectively transform it into a point of sale system, and finally they created a fully fledged credit card terminal. Now I'll go into more detail for each of these three products. Their very first product, as I alluded to earlier, was called the Square Reader and was their initial differentiating factor and was what put this company on the map. It initially worked through the audio headphone jack of any mobile device. Boy, how times have changed. We don't even have headphone jacks on many mobile devices. However, nowadays there is a more modern version that attaches via lightning cable, and these devices are typically geared towards iPads. There are actually two different types of these Square readers. One of them only works with the magnetic strip on the credit card, and this one goes for only $10. The other more advanced version comes in at $59, and I think it's more worth it because you can also do tap and chip payments. I know when I make credit card payments, I almost always use the tap or the chip. Half the time when you try to use that magnetic strip, it doesn't even work. And then there's a certain speed that you have to swipe it. You can't go too slow, you can't go too fast, and you gotta have it the right way. It's just not worth all that hassle. Square's target audience was small to medium-sized businesses that needed an easy to set up and cheap point of sale system. And I think they did a really good job at delivering to this market. I have seen countless coffee shops, restaurants, rock climbing gyms, and other small businesses that use these iPads as a point of sale system. And it really makes a lot of sense compared to the more old, archaic systems that were just really expensive. I used to work at the Brick maybe 8 years ago, and they had a really old point of sale system that was incredibly hard to use. I guess iPad technology really came a long way since then, but it was really hard to use any point of sale system back then. I was trying to find the price points for other competitors such as Monera Systems, but they don't even list their price on their website. That's usually a bad sign and means it's a very expensive system. However, I did find an article that said the initial setup fee is about $250. I'll leave a link to that article in the description below. So if I were a small business just getting started, I would want this simple, affordable solution to start accepting payments. And then if I had some leftover money, I'd consider some of the products below. Their second product is the Square Stand, and at $200, it runs quite a lot more expensive than the Square Reader. The Square Stand is basically the advanced Square Reader, a dock for it, and then a dock for the iPad itself. I guess you do need a way to stop the iPad from falling over, but I don't really think it's worth the extra money. I have seen a lot of these stands in coffee shops, and I think its elegant design really helped to sell it because I don't think the stand itself is worth the approximately extra $100. Of course, it's not as ridiculous of an overpay as the Mac Pro stand, which comes in at about $1,200. That's just for a monitor stand. Now let's move on to the most recent physical product of the Square Terminal. This is useful for restaurants or other small businesses where the point of sale moves around and does not always take place near an iPad. This is very similar to the machines you typically see at restaurants. Maybe at the end of the meal you ask for the machine. That's what this terminal is. But coming in at a price point of $299, it is a fraction of the cost of other solutions. I could not find the exact price point of machines from companies such as Moneris, but I believe their starting price point is somewhere in the thousands. I remember back in university, one of my friends actually got his hands on one of these machines and tried to reverse engineer it, even though of course you're not really supposed to do that. And I believe he said that the price point of one of these machines was around $2,000. And back then the machines were pretty slow at processing payments. I believe the more modern terminals are a lot faster at processing the payments. Of course, not all terminals are up to speed. I remember when I was in Banff National Park just last year, they had a machine to try to accept payments and it was extremely slow. Overall, I don't see too many of these Square terminals. Of course, they were just released in 2018, so they're a relatively new product, but most bars or established restaurants I see, they use the more established, more well-known and expensive options. That being said, I don't exactly pay much attention to the exact model of payments processing terminal used, so I could have used one of these Square terminals without even knowing it. But if you have a small business that requires the use of one of these terminals, I strongly urge you to check out the Square terminal and see if it meets your business needs. So all three of these physical products, the Square Reader, the Square Stand, and the Square Terminal, use a free point-of-sale software program. It makes sense for the software to be free to reduce the friction for businesses to start using it. And Square makes a certain percentage, about 2.6%, compared to the traditional 3% from each purchase from a merchant. I haven't personally used this software, but I imagine that the UI is pretty good since it was created by the founder of Twitter that spends a lot of money on UI and UX design. Another software product that they recently released is called Square Cash that allows people to send money from person to person. This is very similar to Venmo if you know of that app, but here in Canada I find that e-transfers works perfectly fine for sending money directly to other people. The one major downside of the Square payment system is that it's a relatively newer technology. Older companies will be reluctant to make the switch and they are not as well known. Some of the earlier models of the Square Reader had some security issues, but I believe the Square Terminal and the Square products now are up to security standards. Alright, now that we have a basic understanding of the main products of Square and their business model, let's get into their numbers and see if Square stock is a buy now. The stock IPO'd in 2015 at a price point of $12.85, and now the stock currently trades at about $80.26. Needless to say, if you invested in their IPO and kept all of their stocks up until today, you would have done very well for yourself. Looking at the 1-year price chart, the 52-week high was about $87 and the 52-week low was as low as about $33. Their PE ratio sits at 175, which is astronomically high. It is higher than some other companies that have high PE ratios such as Amazon, which sits at around 100 now. But Square is a relatively new growing company, so they somewhat get a pass for such a high PE ratio. And with a market cap of about $35 billion, they are a fairly large company and will only grow as they become more recognizable. I'm really interested in the sharp drop that happened in March. It went from about $87 to about $33. And we all know that there's a global situation that's going on, but that seems like a little unfair of a drop for a company that will still be making quite a bit of revenue even during a recession. I guess the thoughts of many investors is that a lot of small and medium-sized businesses would have to shut down and that a lot of small and medium-sized businesses would not start up in this period. A larger company such as Visa would be much less affected because typically these larger companies have a reserve fund for situations such as this. Of course, this is not always the case, as can be seen by massive companies such as Carnival Cruise Lines or Air Canada that were not very well prepared for a sustained period of time with economic downturn. But after the sharp drop, the stock went on an incredible rally up over 100%. So the question is, can Square stock continue this incredible rally? So let's first look at the balance sheet. Their current assets sit at about $3.2 billion and their current liabilities sit at only $1.7 billion. So clearly in the short term, they are fine for cash. And their total assets sit at $4.5 billion and total liabilities only at $2.8 billion. So even in the long term or the short term, their debt loads are very manageable. You can also see their total assets grow from about $1 billion to $4 billion in a 4-year period. This is a very good growth rate to see from a company. So in my opinion, is SQ stock a buy now? Again, this is just my opinion. I am not a licensed financial advisor. This is not legal financial advice. So despite having a great and well-known CEO, an incredible business model, and incredible line of products with a good balance sheet to boot, I do not think that SQ stock is a buy now. This could be another missed opportunity, as was the case with Shopify stock, but this stock is currently trading as if no damage was done to the economy at all. That being said, I will be closely watching this stock and will not wait for the stock to fall all the way down to $30 to start to buy in again. Maybe at around that $50 price point, I would consider starting to buy some SQ stock. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about Square stock in the comments below. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you learned a lot about Square stock. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe if this video helped you at all. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you in the next video.